Hello everybody and welcome back to another Python lesson. In today's lesson we'll go through iterating over lists, we'll go through for loops, and finally while loops. First of all, let's begin with iterations. So here I've made a simple list of countries, and to iterate over this list I'll write for country in the list, so countries, and then I'll print country. Now this variable country will be, for each iteration of the loop, country will be the next element in our list over here. So the first time it will be Ukraine, the next time Belarus, and so on. So if we run this, you see that we get all the countries printed. Now suppose this list is the result of an Olympics game, and we wanted to modify the list to contain tuples of countries and their resulting position. Then this iteration isn't good enough because we wouldn't get the index. To get the index you can use the enumerate function. So we'll modify this iteration, this for loop, to enumerate on countries, and enumerate returns two values. So we'll need to write like this. So I, country. So I will be the index and country will be the element at this index. Then we could type countries. So we'll modify the element at position I to become a tuple of country, the current country, and the position, so it will be the index plus 1. So for example, Ukraine will be the first place, Ukraine will be the winner, so it has index 0, and thus it needs plus 1 to become the correct position. So if we save this and run it, of course we need to print it. So we print the list, it should now be modified, and we'll run it. And as you can see, we get, instead of having a list of strings, we now have a list of tuples containing a string of the country name and then the resulting position in the Olympics game. Alright, so now let's take a closer look at the for loop together with the range function. Say that I wanted to create a list of numbers from 0 to 70 which are divisible by 7. So I'll make an empty list called sevens, and then I'll use a for loop. So for I in range 71, colon, and then I will check if the current number I modulus 7 is equal to 0. Now what this means is that there is no remainder after we divide it by 7, which means it is divisible by 7. So then we'll append the number, and after the for loop has made it, we will print our new list. So we'll save it and run it, and what do you know, we got our list containing all numbers from 0 to 70 that are divisible by 7. Alright, so right now the range function takes one argument, and that is 71. That means that we will go from 0 all the way to 71, but not including 71. So I will first start at 0 and then go all the way up to 70. We could also add another parameter here, another argument I mean. So let's add 1. So we'll start at 1, not at 0. And then we'll run it again. And now we don't get the first number, so we skip 0 because we start at 1. You can also add a step. So this is the third argument, which is the step. So by default the step is 1. That means that for each iteration I will be incremented by 1 only. So first one I will be 1, then I will be 2, then 3, and so on. But we could also use a step like this. We actually don't need this if statement if we begin at 0 and then take step 7. Because now we will first start at 0, then we will add 7, and then we will add 7 again, and 7 again, and so on. So we know that I will always be divisible by 7. So let's save this and run it. And now we see that we get the same result as the first time. Alright, now let's take a look at the while loop. So we can actually do exactly the same with a while loop. So let's make an empty list called 7s again. Then initialize I as 0. Now we'll type while I is less than or equal to 70. And now we'll simply add I to 7s. Append I. And here we'll write the incrementation step. So I will be added, 7 will be added to I for each iteration. And this syntax is kind of a shortened syntax for writing I equals I plus 7. So this is just a shorter syntax for exactly the same as in this comment. And finally we'll print the list to see that it contains the right values. I will save the file and run it, and we got exactly the same results as before. Alright, now finally I will cover break and continue statements in an example. So I will make a simple math quiz program, and I will use random module, so I'll import it. Then I will create a variable for points, set it to 0. Now we'll begin our loop, so I'll type while true. Now this is what is called an infinite loop. So this right now will loop infinitely because true is always true, but I will use break and continue statements later on to make it not loop forever. So first of all, we'll generate a random number for x. So rand int from 0 to say 10. Same with y. And then we'll print our points. Type convert points, concatenate, and type convert points because it's an integer. Alright, then we get the user input. We'll call it answer. Now we'll ask what is the sum of x and y. And type Q to quit, so that the user can control when it's time to quit. Now we'll make an if statement. So we'll first of all check if the input from the user was Q, then we will break. And what break does is that it simply jumps straight out of the loop. And then we'll check if we'll first type convert answer to an integer, and we'll check if it is not equal to the sum of x and y. Then we will print no points for you. And continue. Now what continue does is that it jumps straight to the next iteration. So it starts all over again, the loop in this case. And if none of those were true, then the user was correct. So we will increment the points and print good job. Just like that. And points equal plus equal 1. Save this one and run it. So 3 plus 3 is 6. Good job, and I got 1 point, and now it starts over again. So 1 plus 9, 10. Alright, so now I want to quit. And it's gone straight back to the terminal. So we see that it isn't an infinite loop, and we can run it again. See what happens if we type wrong. So 3 plus 8, say 5. No points for me, and my points is still 0. And it runs again. It iterates all over again.